The Little Mermaid is an animated film from 2023. This is, of course, not to be confused with Disney's live-action Little Mermaid from 2023. This one's directed by Michael Johnson. It's written by Anna Rasmussen. Of course, based on the story by Hans Christian Andersen. And we have a voice cast, including Sonya Krueger as Sereia. We also have Steve Guttenberg and Dee Wallace, which I was very excited about. And honestly, I thought this was okay. And I say that with surprise because it has 3.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is not very good. Granted, that's only across 171 reviews and ratings, which is not a great pool of opinions, all things considered. And I will say before I go any further, if you've considered watching it, I'd say check it out. It's not bad. It is following, in general, the classic story of The Little Mermaid. Our mermaid character wants to be on land. She wants to be with the prince, and she makes a bargain where she will have to trade her voice to be able to do this, and the prince has to fall in love with her by a certain time. And I won't go into too many more specifics, but in general, if you're familiar with the story, the recognisable elements are there. The narrative, of course, works really well. What I was surprised by, it taught me something. I was surprised to find out that the mermaid is called Sereia, because I've never read Hans Christian Andersen's book, so I'd always just assumed that Ariel was the name of the character in the book. And then I googled it and realised that actually in the book the character is just called The Little Mermaid. So if nothing else, this film led me to learn something, so that's pretty great. And yeah, I don't mind the character being called Sereia. In fact, I think it was a very good choice. I don't know if legally they'd be allowed to call her Ariel. This definitely couldn't be confused with Disney's animated version. They look very, very different. The character of the Little Mermaid looks very different as well. And I think that was a good decision. I imagine they could call her Ariel because it's just a name. I don't know. I think there might be a bit of a grey area. But either way, I think it was a good decision to not call the character Ariel, as it really does help separate it. That being said, obviously, it's an animated version of The Little Mermaid, and Disney's Little Mermaid is so popular that it's impossible to watch this without at least to some degree comparing it to Disney's animation. And yeah, the basic stories are the same, of course, but in general, they do have differences, mostly in the appearance. And honestly, I didn't mind the animation. I thought the animation looked absolutely fine. There was one bit I didn't like when we're looking down. Not quite a bird's eye view, but we're certainly looking top down at the water and we see the mermaids, and then it's just kind of a solid blue, so we don't see under the water, and it looked a little bit rough and not very pleasing. But that's the only one bit that I made a note of where the animation didn't look that great. Oh, I've got IMDb up in front of me, and apparently Sereia means mermaid in Brazilian and European Portuguese. If that's true, that's pretty awesome. That's a really great name choice if that's the case. As I was saying before I interrupted myself, apart from that one bit where the water was just a solid colour and it didn't look very good, I thought the rest of the animation was okay. Some of the mouth movements were maybe a little bit rough, but not in a way that was off-putting, and certainly not throughout the entire film. But in general, I didn't mind the animation quality. I thought it was not too bad. The narrative is obviously pretty decent. The characters are great. The voice acting is good as well. It's not bad at all. Do I think it needed to exist? Sure, why not? There are many other Little Mermaid animations. If this was the first ever, apart from Disney's, the first ever Little Mermaid animation, then I think we already have an animated Little Mermaid. Why not give us a different story? But there are plenty of films that focus on the Little Mermaid, so why not add another one to the mix? It's not a bad experience. I probably wouldn't watch it again, and if I were in the mood for the story, yeah, I'm going to go and watch Disney's animated version, because it's just, as much as I don't care for it personally, and therefore probably would never care to watch it again, it is a fantastic film. I can't deny that. I think they did a really great job with it. I say that having not read the book, but in terms of the film, it is great. I just don't love the story that much, and I don't really care for Ariel as a character. But I still think it's fabulous in terms of the quality of the film, the animation, everything about it, the music, great. But this film is still not bad. It might not compare, but it's still a decent way to experience the story. I like the animation, I like the characters, the voice acting. It's not bad. If you've been curious about it, but you've been put off by the low ratings, I'd say give it a go. It works well, and it's not even just a case that it might be good for little children. I think it could be one for the whole family, at least as a one-time watch. Yes, a little bit of the animation's a little rough, but for the most part, I thought it was not too bad. And if it sounds like one that you might want to check out, then give it a watch. The Little Mermaid is not a bad film. And while it wouldn't be my top choice if you're in the mood for an animated Little Mermaid film, I'd say it's maybe still worth watching.